The sky was clear over New York when the message came. It didn't arrive by radio or satellite, but through a shimmering light above the United Nations building. People stopped to look up. Some dropped their coffee. Others pulled out phones to record. A ship had arrived. It wasn't one of ours. It was massive, shaped like a crescent moon, glowing softly as it hovered in silence. No flags, no call signs, just presence. Authority. Inside the UN Security Council chamber, the room was tense. Lena Harper sat at the head of the table. She was young for the job, but sharp, and she knew how to keep her cool. Beside her was Ethan Blake, a former Marine now working in planetary defense. He didn't say much, but his eyes never left the screen showing the alien vessel. The message began, not in words, but in thoughts, translated into English by some unknown force. We are the Galactic Council. Your planet lies within our space. You will comply with our laws. You will allow inspection of your world. You will not expand beyond your system. There was a pause. Then the voice added, almost as an afterthought, you may keep your culture. We offer protection. Do not resist. Lana stood up slowly. Do they really think that's going to work? Ethan shook his head. They've probably done this 1,000 times. The rest of the room buzzed with panic. Diplomats argued, military leaders called for emergency meetings, but Lena raised a hand. We're not signing anything, she said. Not today. When the reply was sent, it was short and clear. We decline your offer. The alien ship stayed for another hour. Then it vanished in a flash of light. No threats, no warnings. Just gone. But on every screen, on every phone, on every billboard across the globe, a single phrase played again and again. Respect is earned, not given. What no one told the aliens was that humanity had already started preparing. Not for peace. For war. A year passed. The alien ship had come and gone. But its message stayed with everyone. Some people thought it was a warning. Others thought it was just politics. But the governments of Earth knew better. They didn't wait for the next visit. In secret labs under mountains and in orbit above the moon, work continued. Old missile silos were turned into launch pads. Satellites were no longer just for weather or TV, and ships, real ones, were being built, not to explore, to fight. Lana Harper still led Earth's talks with the stars, though there hadn't been many. Ethan Blake oversaw defense from a hidden base in Colorado. Dr. Marcus Lee worked nonstop on alien tech recovered from old UFO crashes. They called it reverse engineering. But really, it was just trying to understand what they barely touched. Then, one day the sky lit up again. Not just over New York this time, over every major city. Ships arrived. Not just one, but dozens. Sleek, fast, and packed with weapons that made even the strongest human missiles look like toys. The Galactic Council had returned, and this time, they weren't asking. From the largest ship came their message. You ignored our offer. You have one chance to accept before we act. This time there was no debate. Earth responded with fire. Without warning, hundreds of human-built ships rose from hidden bases and space docks. They weren't as big as the alien vessels, but they were fast, smart, deadly. Missiles streaked across the sky. Drones swarmed like insects. Lasers cut through metal like knives through paper. The battle started near Mars. It lasted less than an hour. When it ended, 2 alien ships were burning. One was captured. The rest pulled back. Humans won. No one expected it on Earth. People watched the footage over and over. Soldiers cheered. Kids drew pictures of the ships. News anchors shouted with joy. We fought back. We won. Lana stood in front of the world and said, We're not here to ask for peace. We're here to make sure they know we can fight. The council had laughed last time. This time, they were silent. And, for the first time, they looked afraid because humanity wasn't bluffing. We were ready. The silence didn't last. Within days, the Galactic Council responded. Not with more talks or warnings, but with war Across the solar system, alien ships moved into position. Some hovered above Earth's oceans, others waited near the moon. More came from deep space, dropping out of faster-than-light travel like stars falling from the sky. Earth was surrounded. Governments across the planet declared a single command. For the first time in history, every nation stood under one flag. Not because they were forced to, but because they chose to. Lana Harper spoke again, this time not to humans, but to the galaxy. "We didn't ask for this war," she said, "but we will not run from it." On the ground, Ethan Blake worked non-stop. He moved between bases, giving orders, checking defenses, making sure every soldier knew what was at stake. There were no speeches. From him, only action. He believed in people who fought with their hands, not their mouths. In orbit, new ships were launched, not just human ones. Some were built with help from strange allies, small groups of aliens who had also suffered under the Council's rule. They didn't have big armies, but they had knowledge. And that made all the difference. Darmarcus Lee and his team finished work on something called quantum torpedoes. They could punch through shields that once seemed unbreakable. The only problem? They were hard to make and even harder to aim. Leading the charge in space was Kara Mitchell. She was the best pilot Earth had. Fast, smart, fearless. She trained crews to fly in tight groups, hit hard, and disappear before the enemy could react. Daniel Ruiz helped build the ships they flew in. He used old tech, broken parts, anything that could get them off the ground and into battle. He didn't wear a uniform, but everyone respected him like a general. As the enemy closed in, humanity prepared for the worst. Cities built underground shelters. Families said goodbye. Soldiers checked their weapons and waited. And then, the first shot was fired. Not by Earth. By the Council. War had begun, and this time, there would be no second chances. The sky burned. Alien ships filled the space above, Earth like a storm ready to break. Lasers streaked down, hitting the oceans and mountains. Explosions lit up the night across every continent. Earth was under attack. From hidden bases and underground docks, human ships rose to meet them. Fast, small, and built for one thing: war. Kara Mitchell led the first wave. She flew at the head of her squadron, diving through enemy fire, weaving between massive alien cruisers. Her voice came over the comms, calm and clear. "This is it. Make every shot count." Missiles fired, drones swarmed. Human pilots fought like ghosts, appearing where they weren't expected and vanishing before the enemy could react. In orbit, the battle raged. One of the largest alien command ships hovered near the moon. It was protected by layers of shields and hundreds of fighter craft. It controlled the entire invasion fleet. Kara's team had one job: get inside and blow it apart. They dove in low, flying under enemy radar. They hit hard and fast. Missiles tore through defense lines. Fighters danced between beams of deadly light. Then, something changed. Daniel Ruiz, still working from a control station on Jupiter's moon, made a last-minute call. He rerouted power from a nearby jump gate, a huge structure used for faster-than-light travel, and overloaded it. The explosion lit up the solar system. Enemy ships caught in the blast were torn apart. Dozens vanished in a single flash. The command ship lost half its armor. Kara saw the opening. She dove straight into the heart of the enemy vessel. Her crew followed. Inside, they fought like wolves. Close quarters, no mercy. Bullets and blades clashed with alien weapons and armor. When they reached the core, they planted charges and ran. The explosion that followed could be seen from Earth. Second later, the ship broke apart. Across the battlefield, the aliens hesitated. For the first time, they looked unsure. On the ground, Ethan Blake watched the fight from a command center deep below Colorado. He didn't smile, but he nodded. "We're not losing today," he said. Outside, the skies were still full of fire. But now the tide had turned. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. We were winning, and the galaxy was starting to notice. After the battle near Jupiter, the galaxy began to change. Word of Earth's fight spread faster than anyone expected. Across distant star systems, in hidden colonies and forgotten worlds, people listened. Not just humans, but others. Beings who had lived under the rule of the Galactic Council for centuries. They heard how a small planet fought back, how it won, and they started to hope. On Earth, Lana Harper knew that winning one battle didn't mean winning the war. The Council was still strong. But now there was something new on their side. Friends. From deep space came messages. Some were quiet, sent in secret. Others were loud and proud. Rebel groups, exiled fleets, even whole planets that had been crushed by the Council's power. They wanted in. The Free Worlds Coalition was born. Lana worked day and night talking to leaders from 100 different species. Some spoke through translators. Others used machines. A few could barely be trusted. But they all had one thing in common. They hated the Council. Meanwhile, Ethan Blake trained soldiers and pilots like never before. He brought alien fighters down to Earth, studied their weapons, and taught human crews how to use them. He didn't trust machines alone to win this war. He believed in people, real people, fighting for real freedom. Dr. Marcus Lee worked non-stop in his lab. He was close to finishing something big, a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It wasn't just about firepower. It was about reach, about hitting the enemy where they least expected. Deep in orbit around the sun, construction began on the Sol Core, a planet-based cannon capable of firing through hyperspace. If finished, it could strike anywhere in the galaxy. But time was running out. The Council was regrouping, rebuilding, and they would come back harder than ever. Kara Mitchell stood on the bridge of her ship, looking at the stars. "They think we're just one planet," she said. She smiled. "They don't get it yet. Earth wasn't just fighting for itself anymore. We were fighting for everyone who had ever been silenced, and the next battle was coming. This time, we wouldn't just be defending. We'd be taking the fight to them." The Council struck back. This time it wasn't just a warning or a small attack. They came with everything they had. Hundreds of ships dropped out of hyperspace near Earth's orbit. Huge battle carriers, fast strike fighters, and machines that looked like nothing humanity had ever seen. The sky turned dark with their numbers. They called it Operation Dominion, a final push to erase Earth from the stars. Earth was ready. From hidden bases across the solar system, human and allied ships rose to meet them. The Free Worlds Coalition fought side by side with Earth's forces. Old enemies now flew under the same flag. Kara Mitchell led the first wave. She didn't wait for orders. She dove straight into the enemy line, missiles blazing. Her pilots followed, cutting through the alien fleet like fire through dry grass. But the enemy was stronger this time. Shields held longer. Weapons hit harder. Some ships could predict human movements before they happened. People started to fall. Bases on the moon were destroyed. Orbital stations burned. Even the command center in Colorado took a direct hit. Ethan Blake barely made it out. He watched from a backup station as the battle turned into chaos. "We can't hold like this," he said. Dr. Marcus Lee had one idea: the Sol Core. It wasn't finished. It wasn't tested. But if they fired it now, it might be enough to turn the tide. Lana Harper gave the order. Deep beneath the sun's light, the massive cannon powered up. Energy built inside it like a storm waiting to break. Across the battlefield, sensors flickered. Everyone felt it. Something was coming. Then, the shot fired. Not at a planet, not at a ship, at the enemy fleet itself, through hyperspace. The beam tore through dimensions and struck the heart of the Council's armada above Saturn. Ships vanished in an instant. Others exploded in chain reactions. The sky lit up like a new star had been born. The shockwave blew through nearby wormholes, collapsing them. Thousands of enemy troops were stranded. Commander Virex Kal, the leader of the invasion, stood on his bridge, watching the destruction. He whispered something no one would ever translate. Then his ship was gone. The battle wasn't over, but the enemy had lost their center, and for the first time, they started to run. Not because they wanted to, because they knew they weren't winning anymore. We were. Space was quiet again, not because the war was over, but because the enemy had left. The Galactic Council had been broken. Their ships scattered. Their power weakened. Earth still stood, battered, burned, but alive. Cities lay in ruins. Oceans were dark, with the remains of fallen ships. Millions had fought. Many had died. But in the end, humanity did not fall. From orbit, the planet looked different, not just because of the damage, but because of what it now represented. A warning. A promise. We are not to be messed with. Lana Harper stood on the balcony of the new command station above what used to be New York. She watched as ships from a dozen species floated nearby, some human, some alien, all allied. For the first time, Earth was not just a world, it was a power. Ethan Blake walked up beside her. He didn't speak at first. He just looked out at the stars. "They're asking for peace," Lana said. "They should have asked before they attacked," Ethan replied. Messengers had arrived from the remains of the council. Not conquerors this time, but diplomats. They wanted to talk, to negotiate, to survive. Lana turned to him. "What do you think?" He shrugged. "If they mean it, we listen. If not, we fight again." Kara Mitchell sat in the cockpit of her ship, watching the same sky. She had lost friends. Good ones. But she knew the war wasn't just about revenge. It was about showing the galaxy who humans were. Strong, smart, unafraid. Dr. Marcus Lee worked in his lab once more, not on weapons, but on something new. Peaceful ships. Research stations. Ways to reach beyond the war. Because now humanity had a choice. To keep fighting, or to build. Across the planet, people celebrated. Not just soldiers, but families, workers, kids who had grown up in fear and now saw a future. A lone alien ship approached the main station. Its lights blinked in peace. The doors opened. A tall figure stepped out. Blue skin, deep eyes. Not a warrior, a leader. He bowed his head. "My people wish to speak with yours." Lana smiled. "Then, let's talk." Behind them, Earth glowed like a star among stars, and for the first time the galaxy listened.